Welcome everyone to our final episode in our holiday special series. This time we're taking a look at digital TCGs such as Hearthstone, Runterra, and Marvel Snap to see and talk about what aspects of those games may come on over to Lorcana. We hope you all enjoy, and everyone, take it away. So this is our final episode in our holiday special series that we've loved recording so far. And this one is going to be covering the digital side of TCGs. Well, I personally don't have much experience in that realm. I know our other hosts do. So I want to pass it over to you guys. What is your guys' experience with these games and playing games such as Snap, Hearthstone, Runeterra, stuff like that?
I have a very limited experience with the digital TCGs. I did play Hearthstone for a bit when it came out. Nothing extensive. And I played Snap for a good week before I lost interest in that as well. And that's more due to me than the games themselves. They just for me they're not as deep as I need a TCG to be on the surface. It mainly my gripe with Snap too was it was a very super limited card pool. Like I know it's expanded at this point a little bit, but it's too small of a card pool, not enough depth. And in Hearthstone, I don't know. I don't have enough tied to the IP because it's all based around like World of Warcraft stuff. And while I played World of Warcraft, I didn't really play it for the story. I played it for like the game mechanics and being able to play a game with my friends. So I didn't really have a lot at stake there. And then isn't Runeterra the one that's based around League of Legends?
Yes,
It is.
Okay, so I haven't played that one either. And honestly, I played League of Legends for quite a while. I'm surprised I haven't picked that one up. But I do like where they give us the ability to have anyone play. Like if you have a smart device, you can play these games, which is pretty cool. And that gives a lot of accessibility to a lot of players, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, you can see that these games are very much they're kind of pandering to the lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? As far as like game players go, it's usually not people that are going for the in-depth gameplay. It's the people that want something to do for 5 or 10 minutes while they're waiting on the bus.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about Hearthstone. Snap is definitely that way. Runeterra is actually much closer to a traditional TCG experience. Very large card pool, lots of depth, lots of different ways that you can play the game, and it plays very, very similarly to Magic, just with a couple of different little features about it that actually make it, I'd say, even more interesting because sequencing is even more important in Runeterra than it is in Magic. The cool thing about them is like I know Hearthstone isn't this way, but Snap and Runeterra both. You can play them completely free to play and have a full experience, which is really where they really shine. Is just the ability of people, the accessibility of them, like you were talking about.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I will say for Hearthstone, of these mobile style games, Hearthstone is the one that does actually have a competitive scene. While which the as of recording this, the Grandmaster their worlds, they're actually holding that right now, and it's actually the last one being held for now. They're probably working on revamping their system. Uh, but it has seen a lot of esports style play with all of their top players, and back when I was into it, it was very fun to watch. And the thing with Hearthstone, gameplay wise, while it played pretty traditionally from turn to turn and uh, not a lot of interaction, where you just ramp up and get your better and better cards up. The thing that they did that not a lot of other TCGs can do is just the pure randomness that can happen in a game. Being able to pop out minions from an effect that you don't even have in your collection. You had a way to potentially play with the legendary card that you didn't have because you had this other minions effect that pulled that for you. Which is very hard to do with the physical TCG. So it's not anything likely that we'll see with Lorcana. But I did have fun when I was part of it. But as you said earlier, it is a money hog. It's very hard to keep up with them and being able to keep putting out enough to get a full set of the cards and everything.
One of the things that I know with Snap in the limited time I played was like the location based thing was a topic of conversation I've seen, and there are so many iconic locations in Disney and the Disney IP that I could probably name like 10 off the top of my head that I would love to see. And if we got something like that, that would be really cool. Just like maybe you have to play at certain locations. I think that's like one thing that could actually come from a digital TCG is that location thing. And I would love it. I think that that's actually something I would really love to see. Because that just gives you even more IPs to work with, and you can also say like, oh, you have Elsa's Ice Castle. Now you have Elsa's Fire Castle, or you have I don't even know. There's so many different possibilities. You don't have the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You have the Seven Rabbits Mine Train, or whatever you want to do with it. So there are a lot of possibilities if you were to do like that location based system and stuff like that.
Yeah. With digital platforms, there's just so many things that they can do that being digital allows just from a user experience standpoint that you just can't really manage from a IRL standpoint. And I think that's one of the things that's really going to always separate digital TCGs from anything else is there's just it being able to calculate all kinds of things for you and manage things for you and move cards around and pull cards out of nowhere and do all these different things that you can't really do efficiently in an IRL standpoint. Like there's definitely decks I can think of in Runterra that would be an absolute terror to play in IRL just because of the amount of manipulation that you would have to do. Which it's all done for you based off the platform. And so that's definitely something that is always going to separate digital from physical for sure. On the competitive aspect, also, Runeterra also has a competitive ladder going up to Worlds, and at Worlds, there's like a $200,000 prize pool right now. And the way you get there, I'm not exactly sure, but basically, there's ranked, and then at the end of each ranked season, there's a seasonal qualifier, which then can get you into a Worlds invite or something along those lines. Um, but yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. And then that's something else that digital is always going to be able to do that we can't do IRL is effectively match players together because you have your MMR inside of your game. And so you should always be matching with people roughly around your skill level to make sure that you're always having good balanced games, which we just can't do.
Yeah, closest you have to that is the Swiss format where you're ranked with the same sort of win-loss ratio.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really say anything about the decks you're bringing.
Yeah. But I mean, even like, so, or even from like a casual perspective, and even from like lower tier tournaments, there's been a lot of talk in the Discord and TCG community in general and stuff, especially around Commander, of people having different expectations for their games. And if you're not matching people up that have the same expectations for what they're wanting out of their game, then it's going to create a bad experience for at least somebody, if not everybody. And so I think that's going to be, in order for us to make sure that everyone has a really good Lorcana experience, that's going to have to be something that event organizers are taking into account and actively managing. Like, I think random allotment in terms of tables outside of like for a tournament, you have to pretty much, but anything other than a tournament, trying to make sure that you're identifying what the player's perspective is and what they want out of the game and trying to match people up accordingly is going to be important. So that does put a lot more onus and work onto the event organizers themselves. But if you want to see the game succeed and see people play, then giving them the ability to enjoy it to their fullest potential. However, it is that they want to enjoy the game is going to be important.
Yeah, I definitely think that like at like maybe like just like a local like Sunday thing for Lorcana, just like a get together and play. Like if it's just like you're playing 3 rounds, you can like when you register, you fill out a card. Oh, I'm beginner. This is one of my first times playing. Intermediate, I know what I'm doing, but I still mess up here and there. Or competitive, like I want to go for the win. You circle one of those, and that's how they try to pair you up the best you can. Like there will be uneven numbers, and maybe like a beginner plays against an intermediate, or an intermediate plays against a competitive, but that kind of bridges the gap, or like maybe creates a barrier between like the beginner, the first time player being trampled on by somebody who's been playing for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not even just about skill levels. It's also about what people want. Like if someone's showing up with like some super casual for fun theme deck that isn't very good, but they want to play it and enjoy it, and they don't want to have to worry about someone showing up with a tier 0 deck and smashing them in the face. Well, then try to accommodate that and pair up two people with tier 0 decks with each other, and then let the person with the jank for fun deck go play a noob. Like it's just making sure that everyone's getting a good experience based off what they're wanting. Not that there's anything wrong with jank for fun decks. Just for the record, they're fun, and jank is fun. So
I do have a question just to kind of bring it back around to the digital side of things. I know back when Lorcana was first announced, one of the questions I saw a lot in the Discords was if they were going to be making a digital client for the game. And I just wanted to ask and see if you guys had any opinions on that, if you would want to see a digital client for Lorcana.
Yeah, I definitely see them coming out with like if it I don't think they'll make like an official one right away. I think they want to see how the game responds and if it's worth enough money to go out and make that, because if they would have to pay for it, it would be a big business decision for them. But I totally see as soon as we get all the rules and we get all the cards, a tabletop simulator thing being created right away. And I think that will be that will be right away, but an official one might take a bit.
yeah, I don't see, because the problem with that is it just separates out your player base. So until they have a huge player base, I don't see a digital component being added unless they feel like they really need to add it to open it up to more players for revenue purposes. But even if it does, even if they do it, it won't be for years. And if it's sooner than that, then that's very concerning, in my opinion.
Yeah, like both of you guys have brought up, I could see a digital client a couple years, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road, depending on how quick this game picks up steam. But like Spencer said, there's definitely a worry of player-based division. You don't want to see a division like they've seen in Magic the Gathering over their player base, because a lot of people have abandoned paper for Magic the Gathering Arena, and now you basically have two different groups of competitive players not playing with each other, and that's kind of silly if you ask me. But eventually, if the IP does well, or if the game does well enough, they will for sure have a client, much like Magic the Gathering has Arena now. These digital games have their own clients built in, essentially. And Dragon Ball Super actually just released news that they are doing an online client or a digital client as well.
Yeah. And the thing with like Magic the Gathering Arena is a lot of people abandon their cards to go play Arena, and then they're now abandoning Arena, and they're not going and picking up cards again. They're switching over to Snap or Runterra or Hearthstone or yeah. So I was gonna say one thing I think that's worth mentioning about all three of these digital platforms that we're talking about is they all progress resources at one per turn, and it's consistent. Outside of like special effects on cards and things of that nature. So it'll be interesting to see if Lorcana adopts something of this nature for their game, since that is kind of like just what's been happening in the digital space, and digital space has been growing. Um, Or, we see something similar with the Don deck already, even though it's 2 per turn. But Don is a very weird resource. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with the resource system and if it mimics some of these things that these digital games are doing.
Yeah, I could definitely see a side deck of inks and you're pulling one a turn just to keep it easy, and then you just tap those when you use it or something like that. And then you just cap out at like 10 or so. Because I anticipate we won't see any cards that are cost higher than 10. I see 10 as like the cap, potentially.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big things that's like under discussion right now is like card costs and how it's relating to resources and game length. When it comes to Lorcana, it's just like right now with these super high cost cards, like 1 resource a turn feels really bad.
Definitely want definitely want your high cost stuff to do some stuff immediately. If you are going to be able to make it to that point in the game.
So this was our final episode in our holiday special series, and we hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did recording. So thank you, and we'll see you guys again. And there you have it, folks. That about wraps up our holiday special series. We all had a great time recording, and we hope you guys had a great time listening. We'll be back to our regular scheduled episodes in the next few weeks, so keep a lookout for those. We'll catch you on the flip side, and glimmer on.